Seth Rollins might not be happy with WWE, and it's not just because of his segment from last week's episode of Raw that was cut during the commercial break. He seemed legitimately upset about that, but it may be deeper than just that, and it involves Cody Rhodes. It all started a few weeks ago when Cody Rhodes said in an interview that he almost got into a fist fight with Seth Rollins backstage. This is what he said. Let's roll that footage.
I almost would say I like less people than I dislike, and in terms of a backstage setting, the competition that exists in wrestling, you see that suspension of disbelief on screen, but backstage it is very, very real in terms of the competition, who's going to be on top. For example, who's going to headline WrestleMania. So when this year it being Roman Reigns and myself, it doesn't garner a lot of friends. I think Seth Rollins is the closest I've ever had to backstage that turning into a fist fight in front of all our peers and upper management, but it didn't happen. Him and I absolutely can't stand one another. I'd probably try and rip his eyes out and have a situation like DDP and Scott Steiner here.
When I first heard about that, I thought it was just Cody Rhodes selling the story between him and Seth Rollins, because Cody is that type of guy. He loves to keep kayfabe alive at all costs. But then Seth Rollins was asked about it during an interview with ESPN, and he went into more details about it. It sounds like there's actually beef between these two WWE stars. This is what Seth Rollins said when asked about that fight.
Cody Rhodes made some headlines a couple weeks ago saying that you guys almost got into a fist fight. I mean, what's the state of your relationship with Cody?
I can't get into too many details on that. There's a level of truth to that, but I mean, look, the bottom line is I feel, based on my body of work and what I've contributed to this company over the course of the last decade, really, I should be in that position, right? I'm the one who has held it down while he drifted off and went and did his own thing. Respect to him for that, great. He drifted off, did his own thing. I'm the one who held it down. When everybody got hurt or did something else or went off or took part-time schedules or wanted less and wanted to do less and ask for more or wanted to go somewhere else because they weren't happy, you don't think there's been plenty of times when I haven't been happy or plenty of times when I haven't felt like I've been on the short end of the stick? There's tons of stories I could tell about that, but I don't. I keep it to myself. I put my head down, I work hard, I vouch for this company, I vouch for this place, and I feel like what he's getting is not, I'm just not entirely comfortable with it. And I don't know any other way to put it than that. And I think that just creates some natural friction between the two of us. And so, you know, when tempers flare, you know how it goes sometimes. There's a little truth to that, but I can't get into too many details. But,
and I don't really want them. I just have to ask the question, you know what I'm saying?
There's some level of mutual respect there has to be in this industry, but at the same time, there's animosity as well.
Yeah.
This is starting to sound more and more serious as these videos unfold. It only got worse when Becky Lynch started to also talk about how she didn't like how Cody Rhodes was given that main event spot at WrestleMania 39 instead of her husband. It appears that Seth Rollins has made these same complaints to his wife. Let's take a listen to what Becky Lynch said on the Stephen A. Smith podcast.
Cody has had a lot of history with my husband. The main event of WrestleMania, it's gonna be big. I don't know that Cody's ready for it yet.
Says a lot.
I don't know that Cody's ready for it yet. I wonder if it should have been Seth Rollins in that spot. I wonder if he should have been walking out after everything he's done for the past several years, his whole career. Damn it, been carrying this company on his back. Cody walked away, came back, he's getting it all. Maybe that should have been Seth Rollins.
I'm seriously starting to believe that Seth Rollins actually does not like Cody Rhodes. More than that, it sounds like he's becoming more frustrated with WWE and his placement in the company. Seth Rollins has been floating around in random feuds in the middle of the card. The Visionary has not been the world champion for a few years now. 2019 was the last time he held one of those belts. To be fair, Roman Reigns has been the #1 guy for some time now. In fact, that is also something else that seems to be bothering Seth Rollins. In an interview with Ariel Helwani, he opened up about not being the guy. Let's show that clip.
I just feel like in some ways, I've never gotten my just due. There's always I've never been the guy, you know? I've never been the one on the marquee at WrestleMania. It was John, it was Roman. In some regards, when I was at Ring of Honor, it was Nigel or it was Bryan. And I was always the guy on the come up or on the underneath, or I was kind of the second or the next big thing type thing, you know, and that always just eats at me. It eats at me so much. And so I don't know where that competitive spark comes from, but it drives me insane.
To me, Seth Rollins was the guy in 2015 during that WWE Championship run, but aside from that, he's never really been on the top of the mountain. He's still been up there as the number 2 guy for such a long time, but he's never been number 1. And now with Cody Rhodes in the company, I think he drops to number 3. As you can see, Seth Rollins is unhappy with WWE. Maybe unhappy is too much of a strong word, but he does seem somewhat bothered. And WWE cannot afford to lose someone like Seth Rollins. They've spent an entire decade building him up. You cannot lose an investment like that. Therefore, WWE needs to do something to keep him happy. And he's not the only one who feels this type of way. Drew McIntyre reportedly is also unhappy and doesn't want to re-sign. It could be that new guys like Gunther and Cody Rhodes are coming in and taking their spots and their time on TV. Anyways, WWE needs to start focusing on retaining Seth Rollins, and one way of doing that is by maybe giving him a WrestleMania main event with Roman Reigns next year in Philly. It's what Seth Rollins said he wants. Let's roll that footage.
We fast forward 1 year. What's the ideal matchup for you? WrestleMania 40.
God, there's a few of them out there, man. I mean, realistically, Roman Reigns is someone that I have only wrestled on pay-per-view and singles matches twice.
Really?
Yeah. And you look at a lot of the other, say, long-term rivalries, you know, Rock Austin, they did 3 Mania matches themselves, 3 of them, 2 of them main events, I think.
Yeah.
You look at Cena and Orton, and they had 1 million, you know, even Cena and Edge. And I have never had that kind of definitive, put the stamp on it match with Roman.
Seth Rollins isn't the only one who wants to see Rollins versus Reigns at WrestleMania 40. Roman Reigns would agree. In an interview with ESPN, this is what Roman said about that potential main event match.
You talked about Seth Rollins a little bit earlier. You said that's the one thing we agree on. I asked him the same question. I said, if you could fight one guy in WrestleMania and main event it, who would it be? He said Roman Reigns. He said he would love to fight you. He said because he wasn't sure if you guys are main evented very rarely against each other, never at WrestleMania. Who would it be for you, Roman?
I think Seth's a good answer. You know, I think we have a lot of open-ended history. You know, I think there's a lot of competitive brotherhood there. You know, to where there is an estranged love due to our past history. There's always been and this is just Seth. You know, there's always been a underlying, I wouldn't say animosity, but friction to where we can easily butt heads. And that's caused us, as we've moved further away from the Shield, to really kind of, you know, plant our feet on the side of the line that we've drawn in the sand, you know. And I'm not gonna say we both want the same thing because it's very clear. He wants what I have.
Yeah.
I have everything that he's just, this is a guy who's wanted it his whole life. I wanted to play football. There was a lot of things I wanted to do, but I couldn't run away from this business. This is all he's ever wanted to do, and I'm just better than him. Plain as, you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's not a lie here. I'm just better than him.
So what do you think? Should WWE book Seth Rollins to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns next year at WrestleMania 40, or should it still be Cody? Or is this all an elaborate work from Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns planting the seeds for next year's WrestleMania Triple Threat match in the main event for both titles? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.